So how do you deal with, ex-lovers within the same circle?
I know they're all my friends.
They're
Like, I don't
friends,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, basic. I mean, that's true, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely, yeah.
So it kind of encourages respect and, just being nice to people because you know you're going to see them afterwards.
I guess. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't really have like relationships with people as a rule.
Mm.
But like, I don't know. Maybe like it does, but on the other hand, I suppose this is less polyamory though than like just everyone sleeping with each other, which is different. I think that it can encourage a kind of lack of care that I find really worrying. So that people don't think that it's important that you slept together, or it isn't a big deal that you're like spending all your time together and sleeping together, or like it's totally fine for someone to like have sex with your like ex-girlfriend like 3 days afterwards, or like all these things become really and because like jealousy isn't supposed to be a big deal, or you're not meant to feel these attachments to people, or you're meant to be totally liberated from sex as meaningful in this way, I think that people can get really hurt. And I think there's a carelessness that can come into that kind of community that's, I think, has hurt me, and has hurt like and also I think that I mean, I was saying this earlier, that there's also this kind of problem in a kind of, not even necessarily like polyamorous community, but a community where it's acknowledged that like sex is something that happens, and like people sleep with each other, and like there are orgies, and people see each other and don't see each other, and there's a kind of like easiness with which sex happens, and like those and sexual relationships, whereby like because people are assumed to be really okay with all of this stuff, that people can, I think, get hurt quite easily. That like there's a lack of care taken with people, and that can often be quite gendered as well in a kind of really boring way. And I think and that's a really hard balance to get, because it's also really liberating and really great to kind of be able to, like, for people to do that, for people to have sex with each other, for it not to be a big deal. It's really great. But then it can also be quite abusive and really hurtful. And because there isn't really a space necessarily to speak those things, there isn't a space to say, like, actually, this is a big deal for me, because that kind of feels like something you're not supposed to think or feel. I think that kind of culture, that like sex positive culture that tends to come with polyamory, can actually be really damaging. And it tends to be damaging for people who are already, so for people who are already kind of not winning in the sort of gender stakes, so for trans people, for women, for people who already feel like maybe, like they're not the hegemony, I think often end up in positions that are, where they can't kind of speak about that side. So I think that can be a problem in terms of thinking about respect and care for people. That can be quite difficult, maybe.
And why do you think they might feel like they're not allowed to speak about it?
Well, I think it's kind of because, you just like, it's just not really very cool, is it? To like, I mean, I guess that's part of it. It's the kind of assumptions of everyone being okay with everything, which is part of a kind of particular liberal constitution, that everything is permissible in these circumstances. That means that when things feel like they're not, it can be quite difficult to talk about, I think, maybe.
Misconceptions about the whole idea. So in your kind of personal life, do you feel like there's a lot of social barriers that you have to kind of overcome or do you think it's problematic for you to be open with some people, with like your family or friends?
No, but I mean, that's because like all of my friends are really my parents don't really care. I mean, they think it's just funny. Like my mother, when I was just like, oh, do you have a diary now? Like, she doesn't care. I mean, there are obviously people for whom, and this is again where I think it comes back to this problem of the particular kinds of privilege that operate in this scene, where like it's quite easy for me to be polyamorous if I want to be, and it wouldn't have been easy. So some of my friends back home who are polyamorous, it's really not very easy. So in Cape Town, in their circle, in like even in the queer community, it's really like not something that is accepted. That for me it's really easy. It's kind of like I mean, it would be more difficult, I think, to be in a like monogamous relationship maybe, or kind of more frowned upon, less acceptable to like a kind of typical monogamous relationship. I mean, so the relationships I was in before were very much like really strict kind of relationships with men, which were like 100% monogamous. I mean, I didn't necessarily stick to that all the time, so like I have cheated on people. People have cheated on me quite a lot, and it was always like the worst thing in the entire world. It's also quite nice to kind of cut that logic out of a relationship, that like it just isn't there. But yeah, they were very like, you know, you couldn't like make out with someone else at a party. That was like the end. So I don't know. Yeah.
And in terms of kind of your own personality, do you feel like there was some kind of obstacles or barriers that you have to overcome, a lot of kind of internalized contradictions or whatever, to become kind of more free in how you behave with other people?
I don't know, no. I think I should probably have more barriers between me and other people, to be honest, if anything. Yeah, that's what I think. I don't know. What about you?
Sorry, say the same question.
That's fine. I'm going to the bathroom.
I zoomed out.
I'm going to go to the bathroom, if that's okay.
I don't think the question applies to you.
Sorry.
What was it?
I think maybe we can...
Do you have to break your personal barriers to become
I
monogamous?
can't move it now because it's going to fuck the frame up.
Okay.
Oh no.
Wait, you can stop it.
Sorry, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine.
Wait, I'll start again. I mean, in terms of like my experience of polyamory, it's like very new and very recent, so I'm not really sure if I'm any good at it yet. But I do know that I'm really bad at monogamy, which is one of the reasons that I thought that polyamory might be a kind of more interesting or like possible thing to do for me. But I feel like like I said, I don't really know if I'm any good at polyamory either. And I think that, I mean, some of the reasons it makes sense is that it kind of doesn't work in terms of the property relation, which is one of the ways that monogamy always seems to end up working, or can really easily end up working, especially if it's between like men and women. And like a lot of my relationships are with men, so I kind of think about that. And I feel like if you want to destroy like private property, a good way to start doing that is to do it with your relationships. And like, you know, this kind of like, idea of owning someone, and so like they're not allowed to sleep with anyone else or they can't be with anyone else, seems to be quite a big part of how private property works, which I think is quite gross. So it makes sense not to do that in your personal relationships and sexually. I think that there are some problems politically with the way people talk about polyamory in terms of choice, though, with this kind of like polyamory means being able to choose to like have more or do more, which feels kind of just like the logic of the free market, of this kind of like, oh well, you can do whatever you want, you can choose to be with whoever you want. I think it also ignores like the kinds of free time that you have to have, and the kinds of like, there's a certain set of privileges that allow this kind of relationship. Also, like, it's really expensive to date people. The whole conception of dating people is really weird, which is also something that a lot of the poly people that I know seem to kind of keep the structure of dating quite strictly, that like you go on dates with people, which also tends to require some kind of like expenditure of money or like doing a thing somewhere.